I should have known that a flight to Hawaii for $150 is too good to be true. I'm so sick of my customer service job that I can't wait to go to Cozumel, Mexico tomorrow. After work, I pack my suitcase and take my usual sleeping pill. I wake up the next morning and after taking a shower, I head to the airport. I park my car at the airport and go to the American Airlines ticketing counter to check my bag in. After waiting 5 minutes in line, I bring my bag forward with my driver's license. I approach the 30-something-year-old Latina female, who graciously takes my ID and enters my name into the computer system. Ms. Danica Cartwright? Yes, that's me. You booked the 9:30 a.m. flight to Cozumel? Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, but we overbooked the flight by way too many passengers, so the likelihood of you getting on the 9:30 flight is virtually zero. What? You overbooked the flight? Why would your airlines do that? As I almost start to cry. When you booked the flight several months ago, people were constantly canceling because of the pandemic, and to compensate, we overbooked most of our flights, however less people are canceling now. Well, you know, that's bullshit. What am I supposed to do now? We have another flight available tomorrow at 4 p.m.? No, thank you, just give me my money back please. Sure thing, I'll deposit your money back to your Visa. I'll even give you a $50 credit towards your next flight. Great, a $50 credit. That's real generous, I say sarcastically. I really don't want to go back home and do nothing for the rest of the week, so I think about flying somewhere else. I'm tired of these mega airlines like Delta and American, so I look for a smaller, more obscure airline. I go through all the terminals and at Terminal H, I see a Ruby airline ticketing kiosk, which I never heard of before. I approach the counter and a younger woman in her 20s looks me up and down and says, "How can I help you?" I'm just inquiring if your airlines has any last-minute flights available. Sure, let me check, one moment please. Okay, I see that we have a flight to Honolulu that leaves in 2 hours that has available seating. How much does that cost? $150 for the round trip. $150. How is that possible? That's dirt cheap. Well, our airline would rather fill the plane than leave with empty seats. Well, that definitely benefits me. Yes, I'm definitely interested. The younger woman takes my information and after a few short minutes, I'm elated to be headed towards Honolulu, which I would much prefer going to, than Cozumel. I go to Terminal H, Gate 1, where I figure this is the only flight the airline has for at least the next few hours. After a half hour, the incoming flight lands at Gate 1 and all the passengers get off the flight. Hawaii is far away, so all the passengers exiting the plane look completely exhausted, where they could barely walk. Hawaii is a much longer flight than Cozumel, but I shrug my shoulders and think to myself, oh well. Though the people exiting the plane looked like zombies from being so tired, they definitely were from a higher socioeconomic class based on their looks and their attractiveness. The majority of the passengers exiting the plane are women with just a few male passengers dispersed here and there. The same could be said for the people who are waiting to board the plane, where the majority of the passengers are female and are very well put together. I look out the airport window and I see a huge, seldom used, double-decker Airbus plane. It's still a little early, but I can tell there's going to be way more open seats than there are passengers, so that means I should have a full row all to myself, which is much better than being cramped together like a can of sardines with having 3 to a row. The 4 flight attendants come off the plane as I'm surprised each one of them are male and are kind of burly looking like unkempt truck drivers. I laugh to myself, that this is what you get with these budget airlines. The other passengers start to board, where it looks like there's a group of women who are involved in a bachelorette party and a few other groups that are with different college sororities. All I can hear is the excitement in the female passenger voices as they board the plane and say things like, "I can't believe we're going to Hawaii for so cheap." What I think happens is that these small airlines don't come up on Expedia or Google when you type in Philadelphia to Hawaii, so I would have to individually search for Ruby Airlines, which next to nobody would do, because they're such a small obscure airline. I board the plane and one of the flight attendants greets me. He tries his best to be professional, but I can tell that he was looking at me like a piece of meat. Once again, I find myself laughing to myself, as most male flight attendants are gay, but obviously not him. As I get on the plane, I'm a little bummed out that the upper deck is not going to be utilized, which is probably being done so they could make better use of having less flight attendants. I don't get my own row, but at least I get a window seat with no one sitting in the middle seat. One of the few males is sitting in the aisle seat in my row, where he looks about 27 years old and is really attractive. The two of us seem to be one of the few passengers that are flying solo. We are giving instructions to buckle up, and I try to adjust the air control above my head as the plane's temperature must be above 90 degrees. Most of the other female passengers on the plane seem to be oblivious to the hot temperature as they're just talking away in excitement. Behind me, I can hear "I can't believe that this airline sent our sorority such a great deal." That came from a 19-year-old looking blonde girl. Where the girl sitting next to her, who was equally as young, but a brunette, responded, "I told you that we would get rewarded with all the fundraising we did." I kind of squinted my face and raised my eyebrows, thinking that airlines don't care about philanthropic activities and only care about profits. However, I am wrong from time to time, and perhaps the airline was just trying to garnish publicity by offering ridiculously low prices. I kind of tuned out the females behind me and focused on the 2 rows of women in front of me who were in their later 20s and were in a bachelorette party. I hear, who I assume is the bridesmaid, say, "I can't believe the 5 of us are able to fly to Hawaii for a total of $500. The bride-to-be responded, "I told you that I had the best wedding planner, who was able to hook us up with this deal." Once again, I can't hold back my facial grimaces, as I never heard of an airline giving away anything unless you purchase thousands of dollars worth of groceries, using their credit cards. But once again, with this being an obscure airline, I'm sure the airline just wants to create a buzz, with the hopes that we will post on Facebook and other social media platforms how cheap we were able to fly. The heat is really becoming unbearable as the plane is cleared for takeoff. I'm actually sweating, as I use my shirt to wipe away the sweat. We are now in the air, and one of the male flight attendants gets on the loudspeaker and says, "We are sorry, but our heating system is malfunctioning, where we can't get it to stop blowing out hot air. The fasten your seatbelt sign is still on, but I feel like I'm getting hyperthermic, as I have to unbuckle my seatbelt. It's hotter in here than when I went to Death Valley National Park, which is supposed to be one of the hottest places on the planet." The good-looking guy sitting in the aisle seat says to me, "It has to be at least 115 degrees in here, which is starting to feel unsafe." I know this is crazy. Out of curiosity, how did you hear about this flight? I ask. I'm a personal trainer and I received an advertisement in the mail. That's odd, I replied. Yeah, I never heard of this airline, but I'm always interested in seeing what deals airlines are offering, so that's why I opened the envelope. Yeah, I don't blame you, but don't you think this plane would be more full if the airline was sending out mass flyers of our flight to Hawaii for dirt cheap? You paid next to nothing for this flight, right? Yeah, I only paid $150, which will probably cost the airline more in the price of my weight. I do get promotional material from time to time, because I do a good amount of modeling in fitness magazines. Oh, okay, that would make sense, where maybe the airline would send you this deal and in return you would be like an influencer, where you would tell people about the cheap flight you booked? That's definitely a possibility, but this would be a first, because I never get anything from airlines. I typically get free shirts or sneakers from obscure clothing lines. I'm sorry, but I think I'm going to pass out. I chime in. Right after I say that, I see one of the male flight attendants going row to row asking what drinks each passenger wanted and then writing the order down. He gets to my row and says, "I'm really sorry about this hot temperature. We will keep serving drinks, and the captain said that he's close to finding a fix to the problem. What can I get you?" The male passenger says, "I'll take anything as long as it's cold." The flight attendant giggles and says, "How about a Coke?" "That would be great." "And you, miss? What would you like?" "A Coke would be fine." The male flight attendant just doesn't seem to fit his role. It's like one of those parodies, where you'll see a football player in a ballerina's outfit. I just can't stop sweating as I hear the other female passengers' excitement turn into complaining about the extreme heat. The male flight attendants waste no time as the beverage cart is going aisle to aisle with the passengers' drink orders.